Hey guys, we're Gee and Rachel Atherton. We're here at home in Dovey Bike Park. Gutted not to be at Sea Otter this year.
So we're just going to do a Q&A that we asked on Instagram. We're going to run through the questions and we're going to do that right now.
First question, pineapple on pizza? Great question, but no, not a pineapple fan.
What would you have on a pizza?
I don't eat pizza either, to be fair, so.
Too much of an athlete.
Not ideal.
I'm going to start with a serious one. How did you approach your first downhill race? Someone's going to try their first one in December. And I think it's important just to have fun, isn't it, when you start your first race? Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't try and, get a good result, or don't try and do something that scares you. Just really enjoy it and have as much fun as you can, and then you'll ride really well and you'll be relaxed.
Good tip. Next up, would you ever offer a workout ebook or program?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would, yeah. I mean, the training that we have to do it's intense, it's very specific. And obviously, Rachel and I have trained for a long time, prepping for World Cups and World Champs for years on end. So,
yeah, probably 16, 17 years?
A long time. So we do have a lot of experience, and, a lot of people talk to us about coaching or training, and, I'm sure that's something we're going to offer in the future. But at the moment, for me, still focusing on the racing, and you guys have to wait a little bit longer.
Well, I've got a similar question, really, that someone would love to get some input for training off the bike. So, some tips for functional training. He wants priorities, progressions, do's and don'ts. And he said he noticed just training getting a bit stronger, training his core and his back helped him on the bike loads. And like G said, we put in a lot of training and you kind of just take it for granted. But I think you can't underestimate having a strong body. So anything you can do off the bike in the gym or with some weights or body weight exercises to keep your core really strong and your shoulders, that's going to help you on the bike and help you when you take those crashes as well. So anything you can do to just get a strong core, strong trunk, shoulders, legs, it's all going to help.
Can you explain the day with Neil Donoghue when he got slapped on the face by a fish?
What?
I can't explain that. Neil Donoghue, as you all know, the well-respected GMBN presenter, good friend of ours. And I think it was a good few years ago, we were on a training camp, and I think we were in Portugal on a night out in Lisbon. And for whatever reason, I decided as we were walking home after being out for dinner, I grabbed a fish off the fish counter and slapped Donnie around the face with it, thinking it'd be hilarious. But quite rightly so, owner of the fish counter got really angry and chased us both down the street, and I had to take off running. And I think poor Donnie had to explain the situation. But yeah, funny evening. Sorry, Donnie.
There's a good question here. I've got 2 young daughters who love cycling. What was your progression? How did you know it was downhill over cross country?
Good question.
Yeah, when we started biking, we started just riding in the local woods and there was no label, it was just biking. And then we started racing BMX. So we quickly got into racing BMX and the racing took over, didn't it? We really loved the racing and that didn't really matter if it was BMX or mountain bikes. And then when we moved house, we had more access to a forest and a mountain. So we just got into mountain bikes. But it immediately felt right, and the speed and the adrenaline and everything about downhill just felt natural. And for me personally, I hated pedaling, so it was absolutely no question that it was going to be downhill that I was going for.
Nothing's changed either.
And nothing's changed.
It still does.
So you just got to go with what you feel in your heart, what you feel makes you happy and what you love, and that's your answer.
Shred the Track 85 wants to know if Atherton Bikes will produce custom bikes for personal body sizes in the near future, since you have the technology. You're right, we do have the technology, and yes, we do. We do that already, actually. With Atherton Bikes, obviously being 3D printed, it means each design we can take and personalize to someone's size or whatever design they want. So the way we work at the moment, we take their body size, put it into a fit calculator, and that allows us to gear the sizing and the design of the bike towards that person. So if they say, I'm 6'2", I weigh this much, I like to ride more downhill than cross country, but want quite an aggressive trail bike, then we will say, okay, this is the geometry we suggest, this is the sizing we suggest, what do you think? And then we can gear it perfectly towards that person.
Yeah, and you can even change the, if they, like Gee said, if they're a more aggressive rider or more chilled and they want it a bit grippier, you can change the rear end and the flex and everything. It's really, really cool. Do you like how the World Cup tracks have been changing over the years? Like how they have become more focused on being fast as opposed to more technical, with race margins being tighter? And it's a real kind of toss-up, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you want it easier for the cameras and for media and to view easier on TV, so fast open sections, but the riders sometimes want more technical so that there's more lines that are going to separate out the racers. So it's a real toss-up because the tracks are super fun when they're fast, and it's hard to go fast on a fast track, but it's more technical and slow, it's more interesting for the riders. So it's a real fine balance, and obviously we want the sport to keep progressing, so the easier TV coverage is really important, but the riders need to be pushing themselves and the bikes and pushing their bodies as well. So I think it's a really fine balance, and it is possible. Tracks like Val di Sole and Andorra have a really good mixture of both, where there's enough technical stuff to satisfy the riders and there's enough fast open stuff for the TV. So it's definitely possible to have both, I think.
Cleric wants to know if I can floss.
Oh, go on.
Yes, I can.
I thought you meant your teeth. Go on, let's see it.
No, he doesn't need to see it. He just needs to know whether I can or not. The answer is yes, Cleric, I can floss. Next question. Hold on, Cleric's asked another one underneath. Favourite pudding? Which, for you Americans watching this, is a dessert. You wouldn't know what pudding was. Something you have
Cheesecake Factory.
after dinner. Ooh, tricky. Not a big dessert fan. But if I had to pick one, apple crumble and custard.
Very British.
Very British. Not very athletic.
What questions have you got?
How can I learn backflip?
Don't ask me.
Okay, Vating has asked, he wants to know how to backflip. I will answer this one.
Gee has so many backflip stories over the years. Backflipping going perfectly, backflip's gone completely wrong.
I might be the wrong man to ask. Yeah.
If you YouTube it, there's some funny crashes of Gee's.
Now we'll do a 15-second how to backflip tutorial. Okay, picking the jumps first. You need one with quite a good lip. You need it slightly longer and slightly steeper, so it's going to really throw you up. And then you want to come in. As you're coming towards the lip, you want to tuck your weight down a bit, get your weight quite low, and rock a little bit back. And then as you leave the lip, it's not a big heave, but it's just the commitment from your chest and your head. You need to really throw that backwards, and then everything follows it. And then from there, it's just about the commitment to pull it round, and then you just have to stay with that, which is terrifying. And then once you've passed that balance point, you can spot the landing, and then you can start to control the speed of the flip, and then it's there, done.
Easy.
You try that later.
God. Well, following on from that, someone asked, how big is the line that Gee is making, and when are we going to see the edit?
It's big.
It's big.
It's very big. The edit's going to be soon, but it's so hard to film because we've got this enormous line built down this enormous ridge line above Dovey, up in the mountains, and we're just waiting for the weather at the moment. One day it'll be too windy, one day it'll be too wet. You've got to have perfect conditions for it, so it's going to be worth the wait, but it's going to be a wild one.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, when's the first Dovey World Cup round going to happen?
No way. Well, yeah, so for those people who don't know what Dovey is, last year, Dan G and I opened Dovey Bike Park. So, and a few people have asked, is it our bike park, or if we just put money into something else? And it's actually our bike park. We bought the forestry and the mountain. We've put everything into it. And it's just been kind of Dan's dream, really, to have his own place to build all the tracks and to have events and stuff. So it's early days, but the bike park's open. We've got 6 or 7 tracks ranging from black to red, and we do coaching, and we're building the coaching up and up. So that's something that we're going to focus on more over the years. And obviously there's been questions, will we have races, British races and EWSs, downhill World Cups? The future is absolutely it's possible for all this. So we just need to really work on what direction we want it to go, and hopefully one day we'll have a big worldwide event like a World Cup or an EWS or something like that. So watch this space.
Someone here wants to know when they can buy Atherton bikes. Right now is the answer. Yeah, we've started taking sales already this year. The way we're doing it at the moment, we're doing it quite low key, to kind of ease into it, test the water a little bit.
Yeah, make sure we can deliver on time the customers that have bought.
Exactly, yeah. So, at the moment, people are getting in touch with us saying, I want this bike, I've seen the 150, I've seen the downhill bike, I want the frame, or I want a full build, this is the geometry I want. And we've started to take sales. The guys have been flat out, bikes going out every week. So, it's a big learning curve, but it's amazing to see how much excitement there is out there and how much demand and how much you guys are behind it. So massive thank you for that. And if you're interested in getting a bike, then get in touch.
Yeah, and interestingly, the first few that we did sell actually went to America. So that was really interesting to send those first frames out to America. Cool. And I think something to say is the reason why it's taken us, we're working in a small way and selling the bikes without a big launch. The website isn't ready yet, and Atherton Bikes, it is a startup and it is a small business, so there's only a limited amount of people that work in here, and we're kind of stretching ourselves to do everything. So building the website, it has taken a back seat to get the first bikes out to customers. So once that website's ready, we'll do a big launch and really make a song and dance about it. But for now, that's why it's been kind of undercover and under the radar a bit about how to buy them.
And that leads me into my next question that Kirby46 has asked. What is the largest animal you could single-handedly gaffer tape to a lamppost?
What, with one hand or two hands?
Well, he said single-handedly, so I assume you'd have to hold it with one hand and gaffer tape with the other. I think he means without help from someone else.
On your own, yeah. Pussycat?
A cat would be easy.
Sheep?
Yeah, I reckon like...
A liger?
I reckon something like a donkey I could do. Because they're quite chilled, I'd probably try and get it to sit in front of the lamppost and then just get my shoulder behind it, press it up against the lamppost, and then I'd be able to wrap it. Depends how angry it was. A fox would be doable, but they're quite quick.
Quick fox.
A big dog, they'd be quite friendly. Sheep, you said sheep.
I guess there's quite a few injury questions. So like, how do you get back into riding after an injury? And that's one of the things that we get asked a lot because we both had so many injuries. And obviously this last year I've been recovering from Achilles tendon rupture. And I think the main thing, I think the main thing for coming back to riding from an injury is focusing on small steps. So if you think, right, I'm on crutches, I've got this big injury, I need to get back to being world champion, or I need to get back to sending the jumps. It just feels such a long way away. So you've really got to focus on what you can do that day. What can I do today that's going to help me progress? And it's about focusing on the small steps and the progression. So really just focusing, getting off crutches, walking up the stairs, hiking up a hill, getting back in the gym, and really focusing on the small steps and making sure that you follow each step, follow the process, progression, and then before you know it, you'll be back doing what you were doing before. And then the fear side of it as well, you will have more fear about falling on the same obstacle or hurting yourself again, but you've just got to take it slow, really kind of reinforce that you are confident and do a little jump or do a little drop or do something small and build up. So that's really important to make sure that you've got the confidence is building up in small, like manageable steps.
Question here, how do you balance the need for traction versus this insane impact a superhuman like you puts on them? I think he's talking about tyres here. Well, thanks for calling me a superhuman. I think with a racer, it's about performance for us. You want the absolute best condition for that run that you can get. But obviously if you're riding bike parks and out riding at home a lot, you don't want to be changing your tires every 2 runs like you might do at a race. So it's all about picking the correct compound. working with Conti, they're great at having, offering different compounds and different tread patterns and different sidewalls to really suit your riding. So, it's not a case of having to make do with a tire that might be okay with, these conditions and those conditions. You can have the absolute best tire for the job that you are doing. We use the Kaiser for downhill with the black chili compound, and it's super tacky. It's a great rubber. The sidewall is really made up of a great construction to avoid you getting those kind of pinch flats, and will take the hits in the turns, but still it's supple enough to soak up those small bumps and roots. So it's all about picking the correct tire for what you're doing and knowing what you want to be doing with it.
How does the training during the season differ from the one in the off season? Yeah, and I think when you're training in the off season, it's totally different to when you're training during the race season. And I think what a lot of people do is overtrain during the race season. When you're racing and you're riding so much, that puts so much into your body. You put your body through so much, and it's really important to take enough rest. So I personally really focus on short, really high quality sessions. So I do a lot of high intensity intervals, but short sessions. So I'll do lots of, 10-second, even less sprints, just repeat sprints, but quite short. Whereas in the winter, it'd be longer rides or longer efforts. And then in the season, we'll try and keep the gym sessions short and sharp. So you're really just focusing on the heavy weights, but moving it fast and keeping that speed in your body. Whereas in the midwinter, you're just about bulking really and really grinding the weights out. So it really does change, and that's important if you're focusing on racing to try and get the best out of yourself in the race, is to change your training to suit not only what you're doing, but also how tired you are and your fatigue and how your body feels. So really listening to your body is important.
So that's all for now, guys. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you found some useful tips from some of that.
Massive thanks to Continental and to See Otter Play for putting this digital event together, and we'll hope to see you in the flesh next year.